Join us in today's conversation when we speak with Toni Ghazi, who will be channeling the Mantis people.
Like there was a knowingness that although like they're coming as the praying mantis archetype, they aren't really the praying mantis archetype, they're true intelligence. But for our minds to be able to comprehend something that's so vast, it has to come into some category for our minds to even be able to comprehend. So, and look, when you feel unconditional love, when you experience unconditional love, nothing can shake you away from it. A lot of topics we can like go into that are quite grand, that will disrupt people's paradigm. It's gonna push people's buttons. Of course it will, because we're brainwashed to think one way. We have been conditioned through our school system, through marketing, through our families, through our customs, through religion, etc., etc. Not that they're bad, they are one perspective of the all. But when you're trying to reach the all beyond the one perspective, you're shaken a bit because you are really challenging what you thought you knew. And now you're like realizing, I didn't know as much as I thought I know. And now I am like, in a sense, like stretching my lens. There's an uncomfortableness feel to that stretch, because anytime you go into the unknown, we've been conditioned the unknown is bad or evil or dark. They'll come in, they'll bring a quick message, and then they say, you are welcome to pose a question. When you hear that, you're welcome to dialogue. And then when we're done, you can say, like we're finished, you can bring like Toni back, and it will take me another 20 seconds to get back in, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Many of you humans cannot wait for aliens to land on your planet, and they ask for the day of disclosure. Yes?
Yes.
We would like to ask you the following question. So regardless of what your government says, it is irrelevant, as each and every one of you is a divine being having access to all, because you're interconnected with all. But should you give that belief system power, then yes, you will experience such limitation. But your government lives on the idea of limitation, lives within the aspect of fear, as it's still antiquated in the way that it thinks. Your government does not think, in a sense, and operate from the unconditional love of all, from the oneness of all. Because if it does, it would not think that other beings would, in a sense, hurt Mother Planet, hurt your humanity.
The following program is presented for general information, education and entertainment purposes only, and is not intended to be advice of any kind. The content, views, thoughts and opinions expressed in this program are those of the individuals involved. The use of information on this program is at the user's own discretion.
Welcome one and all, wherever and whenever you may be. This is Universal Disclosure, meeting the moment. My name is Mike, an active UFO UAP field investigator in Southern California, with my friend and co-host,
Reverend Stu in Melbourne, Australia.
Reverend Stu, how's it going with you today?
It's going great. I'm really enjoying all the new whistleblowers, all the information coming forward for disclosure at the moment. I'm right into that, Mike.
Yeah, as am I. It was Jake Barber, I believe it was, who was interviewed by Ross Coulthart, and that was quite interesting, to say the least. And there's also a new documentary coming out, I believe in March, that is going to be debuted at South by Southwest, called Age of Disclosure by, I hope I'm saying his name right, Dan Farah.
Okay, well, something I've been really interested in is this spiritual layer is emerging with some of these whistleblower statements. So I'm finding that very intriguing myself.
Yeah, and we've talked about it before, where we have essentially science and spirituality merging together, which is kind of what this is.
Love it. Absolutely my wheelhouse here, Mike.
And on that same line, well, first of all, I want to say thank you to everybody. Please do hit that subscribe button, notification, and thank you for all you who have done it thus far. If you like these conversations, hit that like button and share us with everybody. And a special shout out to our audio only participants. That audience base is growing every day as well. United States is number one on that, and it's sort of like a tie between Australia and the UK as number two. Canada not too far away from that. So shout out to all you audio only folks. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, it's just fantastic with the growing audience we're getting. Now, Mike, in season 2, we're delving into some new areas of exploration here. Could you please tell our audience who we're interviewing today?
Yes, so we are going to do something like we've never done before. Now, granted, we're a young channel, right? So that's not a big statement per se, but as we lovingly say, we've gone off into the weeds where we're going way deep into the forest now. But ultimately, this is where, in a way, this disclosure conversation is going to go. Like last episode, we talked with Barbara Lamb, and we might be talking with some experiencers at some point soon. Today, we are going to be speaking with Toni Ghazi, and he is a channel. Do you know what a channel is, Stuart? I know you know it.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Daryl Anchor. I haven't delved too deeply into this whole aspect of disclosure, but I'm interested.
Okay, yeah. So Daryl Anka is well known for channeling an entity named Bashar. Also, there's a lady named Esther Hicks who has channeled Abraham. Both of them have been doing it for many, many decades. And I've listened to a lot of their things. They are quite interesting. I find them informative. I don't know what to think of it, honestly. I'd say right from the bat. So, we're putting this out there. It's going to be interesting, but it's up to y'all to decide what you think. And what I mean by that is Toni is going to be channeling the Mantis people, which is effectively a species of alien that is believed to exist.
Wow, this is an interesting one. I haven't had too much experience with this, Mike. I've never experienced a channeler in person, and I'm only aware of a couple of channelers. So I'm going to bring an open mind and an open heart to this today.
Yeah, likewise. This will be my first time with a direct conversation with a channel or an entity on the other side. I'm not sure what to expect either. Just to put it out there for our regular participants, I specifically did not send any questions to Toni in advance, so he has no idea what we're going to be asking when he's channeling the Mantis. We've spoken in other conversations where we generally give our guests framework questions in advance so they know kind of where we want the conversation to start and build it organically from there. I intentionally withheld the questions just so everybody knows. But anyways, Toni Ghazi is a channel, cosmic communicator, spiritual guide, executive coach, and inspirational speaker dedicated to helping humanity awaken to higher consciousness. As a channel for the Praying Mantis Beings from the Antares Stargate, Toni serves as a bridge between dimensions, sharing wisdom, guidance, and healing energies from these advanced, benevolent, extraterrestrial, and extra-dimensional beings. Known for their profound understanding of unity, unconditional love, creativity, and spiritual evolution, the Antarian Praying Mantis Beings deliver transformative messages through Toni, empowering individuals to step into their highest potential. Toni's mission is to assist others in realigning with their soul's purpose and unlocking the infinite possibilities and magic within. Through his dynamic talks, workshops, and private sessions, he provides clarity, healing, and a renewed sense of connection to the cosmos and one's inner self. A passionate advocate for interdimensional communication and unity consciousness, Toni believes that the messages from the Antares Stargate beings hold the keys to advancing humanity's spiritual evolution and co-creating a future filled with magic, magnificence, and miracles. His work continues to inspire and those who seek a deeper meaning, higher guidance, and the courage to step into their unique self.
Wow, I definitely like that talk about unity, Mike. I got to tell you, I'm intrigued by this.
I can imagine that would resonate with you, as it were. So this is going to be brand new for all of us. Thanks for joining us on this journey. And let's bring in Universal Disclosure Podcast welcomes Toni Ghazi. Toni, thank you so much for joining us and visiting with us. We really appreciate your time, and we're looking forward to having this conversation with you.
Mike Stewart, thank you so much for having me here. It's an absolute pleasure and an honor. And truly thank you for opening your hearts to hearing from more beings and more humans that are connecting with other beings. Because, we're all channels, we're all gifted. No one is more gifted than the next. So I really appreciate being here, and hopefully you enjoy the interaction. I know that you will, and I'm sure your audience will too. And we'll see what the universe brings in this now moment of creation.
Yeah, this is going to be great. I'd like to just briefly tell everybody out there how you and I met. I'm assuming, I don't even know, I'm just assuming that you remember, but maybe you don't. But it was at Contact in the Desert in 2024. I was there primarily working the MUFON booth, and it was the wee small hours of the morning. I went down to the vendor area. Something sort of pulled me there, and I wanted to see who was there, even though none of the vendors were there at the time, right? And I stumbled upon your table, and my eye went to something. I was like, oh my God, I have to have this. So then I went, got up extra early in the morning before I had to go to the booth, and I went to your booth, and it wasn't there. Or at least it didn't seem like it was there. I was like, I came here last night, but it's gone. And then you're like, oh, and then it's like, oh, it's so you had moved the, and I have it with me right here. The mantis head.
Yes.
And there was, this is, it's like amethyst kind of looking, and I wanted this specific one only. You had a bunch of them, but I only, so anyways, that's how you and I met. And I was going to ask you then to join us. And at that point, we had not even published any of our episodes. We had about 4 or 5 like in the can, but they didn't go out yet. And then someone came up to you and started talking. So I was like, okay, timing isn't right. So now here we are, like about almost a year later, and here we are.
Listen, all divine timing, as you know, all orchestrated by the divine. So thank you for following your heart. And really, you're absolutely right. We get pulled in every direction. Why? Because everything is consciousness. Stone is consciousness. Everything. A leaf is consciousness. The wind is consciousness. Everything is real intelligence. And it's always communicating to us. So when you're open to the beyond and the more, and to go beyond the matrix and beyond what our minds were trained and conditioned and really brainwashed to think, like what our world is, then you begin to hear those whispers, and you heard it. And you're right, out of all the calls that were there was one that specifically spoke with you because you're meant to work with it or be with it or whatever the case may be. So thank you for following your heart. And I do totally like remember you. And I remember, like you were mentioning, you were going to begin a podcast or have a podcast. But listen, I trust the universe. Things will happen when they're meant to happen. So I don't orchestrate things anymore. I try to live into the unknown, because when I overplan, sometimes I'm really limiting the universe of from what it needs to show me. So it's really good to be able to allow flow to guide us, and we'll meet again whenever. And what a beautiful meeting right now. And here we are.
Yeah, absolutely. So in a little bit, you're going to be channeling the Mantis Beings for us, which we can't wait. However, before we can't just jump right into that, right? We got to know, especially our audience too, a little bit about you. What got you into the topic of UFOs or ETs in the first place?
Okay. So I'm Lebanese. So, okay, like for your audience, like they need to know who I am as a human, right? Because it's important to know I'm like every other person. Insecurities, trauma. I was molested when I was a kid. I was kicked out because I was gay. I'm Lebanese. Every trauma you could have gone through, I've gone through in my own way. So I'm human, and as sensitive, and I try to deal with my own all layers of like psychological things. So I grew up in Lebanon, and I've always stuttered, and it's important that you hear that, because when I began channeling, the stuttering stopped. Well, when I channel, I don't stutter. When I'm out of the channeling state, I do stutter. You're gonna hear the word a lot, and then you're gonna hear the word like a lot. Like for me, it's my little bridge, like to help me go from one word like to another. Because if I don't, I'll go And as a child, up till I was 20, it was really bad. And like my brother stutters, and also my dad stutters, and I think my uncle stutters. So it's kind of on my dad's side of the family. And it was my prison for years, not to be able to speak, especially in at school when you get called on. And like we went to a French school system back in Lebanon, and like the French system, at least in Lebanon, is like very oral. Like you would like recite poetry in front of the class, you would read paragraphs, you would do math in front of the class. It was like everything is spoken. And for a person who can barely speak and anxious and has tunnel vision and goes into anxiety mode, that's the worst case scenario, right? So for years I've stuttered, and I struggled with being able to express myself. And then when I began channeling, it all went away instantaneously when I'm in this state. And that was my proof to me that whatever just happened right now, I don't care if you call it channel or whatever other label, it's real. Because for me, not to be able to stutter after 40 years was like, a miracle. So I grew up in Lebanon, and I moved to the US when I was 15 years old. I didn't speak any English. We spoke French, and then Arabic. But then, like, you learn. And I grew up in the Christian Orthodox like religion. So basically, like Christianity, like Mother Mary, and then like Jesus was my whole kind of upbringing, and we were religious, like not fanatic religious, but we would go to church every weekend, and I would pray every day and then every night for goodness and this and that. And I grew up in a poor family, so I didn't come from money, and we like struggled when we moved to the US. My dad worked at McDonald's, making $4 an hour, and we struggled in so many ways. As every other human may have struggled. And when COVID came, basically, is when my first awakening happened, and like that was 4.5 years ago, and I was 40 years old like then. When the whole world shut down, basically, I just didn't vibrate. It didn't make sense to me that we have to wear masks. It didn't make sense to me that we have to be like 6 feet apart. It didn't make sense to me that this whole like suppression of living, and why are we afraid of a virus? I mean, it was almost like an instantaneous like knowingness that whatever like new paradigm that we're being like pushed into, you cannot subscribe to, and I just like naturally couldn't subscribe to it. And of course, my husband was into it. He's watching TV every day, breaking news after breaking news. And in the first 3 months of COVID, because the whole like business world was trying to figure out how to do business, like during that paradigm, I had extra time on my hand where normally I'm busy. So I'm a realtor, and I still sell real estate in the Washington, D.C. Area. But like during those 3 times or those 3 months when everything like slowed down, I had extra time like on my hand. And I subscribed to a channel named Gaia, which is all about consciousness and like meditation and UFOs and disclosure. And then like synchronistically, all these shows would appear. Because remember, I didn't know anything about UFOs. I didn't know anything about consciousness. I didn't know anything about all the esoteric and like the woo stuff. So I wouldn't know what to search unless you knew there is that woo show to search for, right? But all of a sudden, these shows would pop up, and then one of them was called "Interview with Extra Dimensionals" with Ruben Langdon, all about channelings. And I watched, it was I think 2 seasons, then 8 episodes each, religiously for like I want to say like a month and a half. Like each episode I would watch like 6 times or more, understanding the English of what was being said, obviously, but no context. I couldn't put the pieces together. Like even the idea of consciousness, I couldn't understand. It wasn't tangible like enough for me. Like, what is consciousness? Everybody talks about consciousness and higher this and higher that and channeling, and what is that? It took a while for me to absorb it. But a year later, I realized that show, like for those 3, 4, 5 weeks where I watched it religiously, trying to understand it and grasp it, and still like couldn't, implanted the seeds of all those concepts into my field that began unlocking on my journey the next year. And then one of my ex-boyfriend's cat passed away, and he reached out to me and asked if I know any animal communicators. And I said no. So I go on Google and I look up like a few names. Like they had a year wait. We're like we can't wait a year. And I found one person by the name of Stephanie Light, where like we have the session with her, and like she bring in Koba, like the cat, and it was a great session. And towards the end of the session, she says, "Well, look, I teach channeling, like I teach channeling classes." It was like a brain explosion. I mean, we weren't even talking about channeling, right? And I jumped like in her, please sign me up, because look, then I was kind of interested. I was listening like to Bashar, right? Bashar was my biggest, I would say, like the only channel like that I heard and like that I vibrated with. Although 2 years before actually I awakened, he came on my, I think, YouTube feed somehow. I couldn't hear his voice and the way that he speaks and like the tone of his voice, I couldn't stand. I'm like, I don't know who this guy is. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. I couldn't resist it, and I shut it down. This was 2 years before, like, I awakened. And like when I awakened, I couldn't get enough of Bashar. Like for a whole year, I would listen to all his podcasts and all his recordings. And then I took that channeling class, and the first time when I like began like practicing, that's when the stuttering completely went away. And that's the only proof that I needed that whatever just happened, after 40 years of trying not to stutter, like going to doctors and breathing and I don't know what else and blah, blah, and like feeling broken in like so many ways and like feeling that I cannot speak the way that I want to speak. I lost jobs because of it, because at times I lost interviews, you know, because I couldn't articulate myself well and I would go into tunnel vision. I would really stutter more. The fact that that stopped in like an instantaneous second just was my proof for me that, oh my God, whatever happened is real. And I feel like that was my catalyst to jump into the channeling world and say that I can channel. Because I don't know what just happened, but the fact that I'm speaking flowy with no stutter for me was like it. And then the rest is history in a sense. Because I've been watching like the Gov't channel, I've been like becoming more informed about like the esoterics and like past life regression and like hypnosis therapy and UFOs and aliens and Pleiadians and this and that. I found a local person that does hypnotherapy for past life regression, and immediately, like when I was under, like the praying mantis came through. Now, keep in mind, I've been terrified of insects all my life. Like insects are not my thing. Anything that's legged and like so many legs, I would run like a screaming, literally. I'm absolutely like terrified. Even like a cockroach, which they're always like afraid of you, I would be like deathly afraid of. So the fact that I'm walking on Earth now saying I speak to insectoid beings and I love insects now is like another kind of mind-blowing thing. How can I, after 40 years of being absolute terror, like now I'm like, oh, they're my beings and they're cool. So like whatever happened during that past life regression was so visceral that I know what I know now, and I ran with it. Like to the point that I put on the back of my car this massive decal that says that I talked to aliens and I had to create a website like quickly, and all these downloads came like to me at night, and I drive around as I sell real estate with all kinds of clients with me. The first thing you see on the back of my car, and you know, like I'll show you a picture, you know, because your audience would absolutely like you know, adore it. Look, as a realtor, I've never put on my back that I'm a realtor, I can help you sell it. Like no decal on my car ever. It's just a car. But when I began awakening, I got the calling, you need to put a decal. And like my friends like really laughed. They're like, this is not a decal, that's an advertisement. So look, so it says like the following, you know, like it says the Antarian heart, channeling extra dimensional beings. I'm a spiritual guide. You see the praying mantis in orange. You see Bigfoot, you see aliens. Driving around Washington, D.C. as I sell real estate with strangers from all over the world, the first thing that they would see is that like massive decal, because I'm walking them to the car and I'm opening the door so they can get in. We have amazing discussions, not to convince them like what I believe, because like they come from all walks of life, all kinds of denominations, but it was this most beautiful dialogue of understanding the world. Like, look, this is my lens, and like this is how I'm understanding the all, and I hear their lens and how they're understanding the all. It's one of the most beautiful like merging of amazing dialogues on all religions. If you're Taoist, if you're Buddhist, if you're Christian, if you're Muslim, if you're, I don't know, if you're like this and that, it's the most like fascinating like discussions, and they really get to know the real you, like beyond like the realtor aspect, and we speak as humans. So, you know, and then UFOs began appearing all over my house. Above, I live in Washington D.C. I have footage after footage during the daylight and with the night vision, like at night, of like UFO ships above my house, like a big V-shaped ship, all these stars that do Morse code for me, orbs like crazy, even fairies. I mean, I have videos and videos, clear videos of the crazy stuff your mind cannot comprehend. And in the beginning, I thought they are appearing to me, right? Oh, like UFOs are like coming to me. But then I realized they've always been there, but my frequency and then my perception of my world, because like my lens began really stretching, I'm able to see what's always been there. It's not like they appeared. And then all of a sudden, I would rewatch videos like that I captured like a year ago, and I would like get to calling like to pause them and then move them like frame by frame. I swear to God, 3 or 4 UFO ships that I couldn't see like with the naked eye because they go like so fast, like were captured. I have videos, I have like photos. So crazy stuff began happening that just solidified like to me, whatever's happening to me, whatever like belief system I thought I knew isn't real. And we do live like in a matrix of our own belief system. And I began kind of deconstructing, a lot of my belief system, and like through all, and then like through all the channeling sessions like that I have with my clients, they really allow me like the conduit to connect with all kinds of energies, all kinds of beings, all kinds of concepts my mind is no way on earth could have like in a sense made up, and just and it just opened up this world of just magic, like to the point that I've been doing events like live every month since last November 2023, and I have an event till next August. Like each month, I'm like traveling all over the stage with Bashar, with all these like all of these like renowned channels that have been in this business for since the 80s. And here comes Tony, who just awoke 2 years ago, like really on the stage of creation, saying he speaks to mantises. But one of the most amazing, I mean, all beings are really amazing, and I don't have any extra gift than anyone else. We all channel, we all can channel, we all do channel, we're just not aware that we do. But when you become aware, then your whole world shifts. Is that helpful up to this point? I mean, there's a lot of information.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That's very fascinating. Thank you for all that detail. I do have a question, and I have a feeling, Reverend Stu, maybe you're thinking the same. But Tony, because our channel here, we do our best to sort of focus on the spiritual and the esoteric side of this nuts and bolts phenomenon. We've talked to spiritual leaders. Stuart himself is a reverend, for crying out loud. But there's been, talk recently as well as historically that some people think like aliens are demons or something. We don't believe that here, but when you're starting to channel, or when you were starting to channel, did you have any reservations or fears? Like who are you opening up yourself to, and could these things be like evil or something?
No. Look, when I had the past life regression, like what I felt, and I'm going to describe to you the 3 images like that I saw, and I think it will help your audience understand why I feel like what I feel. So it's like during the past life regression, and I created like a movie on my website that kind of describes like what I saw. But if I'm gonna create exactly verbatim like what I saw, it would cost like millions of dollars, and obviously we're not gonna do that. Even if somebody has like millions of dollars. But like we were able to get footage and just recreate what I truly experienced. So when I went under and they came in as like the praying mantis head, like the first image was of this rectangular head, and it was an instantaneous like flash, which was like, it came in left. But within that flash, I was in it for infinity. That's the best way that I can describe it. It was 2 awarenesses at once that I've never felt before, where I just saw this quick flash, but yet within that flash, I was in it for a very long time. The next image was of this long-bodied silhouette, and it looked humanoid. It had a head, it had the shoulders and the arms like were down, about 20, 30 feet high, of just pure light emanating out of it. But you see like the silhouette, right? Like the shape. And I heard in my mind, like telepathically, that we are coming to you in the human silhouette shape, because if we come to you in the pure energy that we are, you won't be able to comprehend us. Like your mind, like will go like static, like an old TV, because it has no reference of like what it's looking at. So like we come in like the aspect of like to allow you to acclimate to our frequency. And then as like we build a relationship, we will reveal more and more like to you about who we are. The third image, again, it was a flash. It was this heart that's like sliced up, right? So like all these slices, but all these slices went to infinity. It kept going and going and going and going and going. On each slice, it was faceted, like the most clearest crystals. So I have this crystal, right? So this is crystal. The most clearest crystal that you could have ever seen on Earth. This goes beyond. This goes like to infinity. And there was like a real intelligence to the clarity of that facet of the slice. And each slice was had all these facets. And each slice, like, all kept going and all faceted. And like within the infiniteness, there was like this like midway point where there was a spark of light. And when I say spark, it's like a grain of sand, of a small light into this darkness, like in a sense. And I heard clearly, you, like meaning all of us, all being, all consciousnesses are so powerful that you do not need a big flame to reveal to yourself your true power. All you need is a small like speck of your light, and that light reflected off the one facet to the next, to the next, to the next, creating this vehicle or like Merkaba of light. And in that moment, I knew that we are heart, meaning love, and I knew that we are light. And after that, immediate knowingness of who these beings are, who we are as consciousness. Like there was a knowingness that although like they're coming as the praying mantis archetype, they aren't really the praying mantis archetype, they're true intelligence. But for our minds to be able to comprehend something that's so vast, it has to come into some category for our minds to even be able to comprehend. So, and look, when you feel unconditional love, when you experience unconditional love, nothing can shake you away from it. And a lot of knowingness, a lot of things that you thought you couldn't experience or even could dream of or imagine exist begin becoming as part of a knowingness. And I knew like immediately that channeling had like nothing to do with evil or good or bad, because truly creation, there is no evil and like there is no good, and then like there is no bad. There's just experiences of. And like when I went into the channel state, the emotions I felt, the all the messages that I would experience, the like the feelings I would experience, the like the vision I would see are all of beauty. Like how can something so beautiful like be evil, right? So I didn't experience it, but it could be part of it that I always vibrated with the frequency, like, you know, of love. And when you know that you are the creator, truly beyond the idea, beyond the intellectual surface of what you're saying, because look, oftentimes like we say, I'm infinite and I'm God, but you're not comprehending really what that means. We're scratching like the top of it of like what it means. Because if you really know that you are the creator, like fully, then you know you get to create anything that you desire, right? So if you decide to create an evil world, then you'll create like an evil world. If you want to create a neutral world, then you will create that. If you want to create a beautiful world, then you do that. And if you want to create a world that has a mixture of everything, then you do that. And that's how we empower ourselves, like within our hearts. A lot of topics we can like go into that are quite grand, that will disrupt people's paradigm. It's going to push people's buttons. Of course it will, because we're brainwashed to think one way. We have been conditioned through our school system, through marketing, through our families, through our customs, through religion, etc., etc. Not that they're bad, they are one perspective of the all. But when you're trying to reach the all beyond the one perspective, you're shaken a bit, because you are really challenging what you thought you knew. And now you're like realizing, I didn't know as much as I thought I know. And now you know, I am like in a sense, like stretching my lens. There's an uncomfortableness feel to that stretch, because anytime you go into the unknown, we've been conditioned the unknown is bad or evil or dark, when truly the unknown is more of us. If we're infinite beings and like we don't die and we live forever and ever and ever and ever, there's only like more of us. There's like in a sense nothing else that exists beyond us. Us meaning as energy. And we can get into the hologram, the matrix, a lot of other crazy topics that I don't know if you want to open all these kinds of worms here, but I'll take your guidance on it. And just one more thing.
We've touched upon them briefly in other conversations that we've had. And I mean, in part, I kind of would like to, but I also want to maybe in a couple more minutes get to the mantis, because I'm super excited to actually interact with them.
Of course. Of course. Listen, our society, through the forgetfulness of how divine we are, and through the conditioning and all the messaging that are out there through media, again, through schools, through parents, through like, you know, cultures, through the own story you created like for yourself of this empowerment. The more that we continue like that paradigm, the more that we don't give ourselves the opportunity to witness and see the gifts that we have like within us. Because the trick is, whatever we're creating out there, we are truly creating with our power. But because we think we're disempowered, we have translated that the power is really coming from out there. The Mother Jesus, I keep saying Mother Jesus, and I'm going to keep saying that. Like, you know, Mother Mary or Jesus or Krishna or like Buddha or all these deities and all the saints that I used to pray for over and over again are outside of me. Nothing is exterior of us. And we put the power, or we give the power like to them to change our life. We give the power to, and I prayed, guys, for 40 freaking years. And like some things happen, a lot of things didn't happen, right? But when you pray for an exterior force, waiting for that exterior force to change your life, that's disempowerment right there. Because you're not believing that you're powerful enough to do it. And like when I say the word power, is not from the powerful enough, I overpower you. No, it's from the divine power that I'm the creator. I'm the loving creator to myself, that I get to create as a facet of God. Because Jesus and all these other beings said we're made in the image of whatever, God, or however you want to say. We have the ingredients. We contain the ingredients of the divine. It's within us, but we're not taught it's within us. We're taught outside of us, right? So when it's outside of us, we're always searching out there. And there is a trick to that. When you search out there, you stay in the disempowerment of things. But when you go within, when you go in your heart, when you work through the layers of all of the belief systems and begin to unlock and unmask, because we put on masks, guys, we are not. Humanity does not know what unconditional love is. We conditionally love everything. Conditionally. We've been trained to do acts of what seems to be love, but it's not unconditional love. Because unconditional love really is loving everything and everyone in every experience. Crazy topics we could talk about. War, Hitler, all the taboo aspects that like humanity said, shun away, like deny. That's all part of creation. We can get into that in another topic. But when you begin to remember that creation, that I am made of the ingredients of God, means the magic is within you. You have the tools, you have the will, you have the free will choice to do that. And when you, I'm going to divert for 1 second because they're saying like talk about self, like self-love, like just for 1 second. Is really, it's all begins with self. Me, you. But we've been conditioned to put masks on, not to really speak our truth, to muffle our voice, to suppress our emotions, to suppress what we think, suppression after suppression after suppression. And you should do this, you should do that, you should get a PhD or a master's, and you're a man, you should do this, you're like, you know, pink is only for girls, I don't know what else. All these restrictions after what you should do and what you should not do, although your essence and your body and your spirit may be telling you like some other message, but you're suppressing it. Well, when we do that, we place a mask on of not being the self. And when you work on self and dig all those masks out, after mask, all these belief systems that you perhaps don't resonate with, but you did it because society said so, because you're afraid to look different, you know, or you're ashamed or you're embarrassed, or like whatever the case may be. Once you work on the self aspect of you and reach you, then you crumble into pieces. You go into this like psychosis mode, like in a sense of who am I? You don't know who you are, although you thought you were who like you were. You know, I lived for 40 years. I'm a man. I'm Lebanese. I'm a realtor. I do this. I do that. And then you go to self and you watch yourself and you realize, I know nothing about myself. Of course, because we've been conditioned not to go within the self. But that's where the power lies. When you meet that self, and like you realize, I really never got to know you. And from that aspect is where you re-empower yourself. From that aspect is where you really find Jesus, Mother Mary, unconditional love for me, for the being that's inside of me, for the flame of God that exists within my heart. And then your whole life, the whole paradigm like begins to shift. Sorry, I kind of talked about all kinds of things.
No, Tony, I'm highly impressed. I got to tell you, I love the Terence McKenna quote, "Culture is not your friend." I don't know if you've heard that quote before.
No.
I wanted to ask you, have you learned a lot of this information from the Mantis Beings, would you say?
100%.
Predominantly?
100.
Wow.
Let me tell you one thing. I don't read books. I have so many friends that say, oh, you know, I just spent the weekend. And of course, I don't have a week. I'm super busy, guys. I'm very, very busy. But even if I'm not busy, I just don't have the capacity like to read books. But like when I went to college, I read the books that I needed to simply to get an A on the exam, and that's it. I was just skimming through it. I don't have the capacity to read things. I tried. I just know. I'm like super audible, and I love to hear things. I'm like with my ear, but of course, because I don't have time, I don't like read. I don't read books, and the reason that I am mentioning that is I know in the vocabulary of my mind, of this sphere that's here, I know what information is there. The rest of it came purely from channeling, from consciousness, and expressions that I experience in when I'm like out of my body. Words cannot describe. Like I've seen colors. There's no words for colors. I've like experienced beings and like worlds and then concepts that when like they use my mind to speak those words, I feel it's not even enough. It's not scratching the surface of what's really being experienced. So yes, a lot of the knowingness, what I call like, you know what you know, and nothing could shake you like away from it, really came from the Mantis beings. And everything is about integration. Everything is about love. Everything is about oneness. Everything is about realizing that we are never disconnected from our divine, ever. There is never a point that we are disconnected, ever. We are always connected, and we have access to all the wisdom. We have access to all the knowledge. We have access to all the gifts that are already within us. And it's just a matter of restructuring the definition systems of who you defined yourself to be. And of course, over the many years, right? And, you know, et cetera, et cetera.
This is beautiful, Mike. This is very much in line with my beliefs and perspectives too. I'm highly impressed, and I'm very interested to hear from the Mantis.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm happy to bring them through whenever you guys are ready.
Okay. Yeah, if you can, I'd kind of like to do that now, but just real quick, preemptively, when we were sort of talking before our recording started, you mentioned it's going to take approximately like 20 seconds for you to connect with them. So during that time, I've already prepared a little animation through the Stellarium app, so I'm going to put that up during that so people can see where Antares really is located in the night sky in the summertime, at least in the Northern Hemisphere. So the visual folks will be able to see a little something. The audio only folks, they're just going to be a little bit of silence here while we have Toni bring in the Mantis.
Amazing. Thank you. And you know, let me just say one more thing, like before
Sure.
I like bring them like for your audience, is we all have our own lenses in which we understand the world. And we have our own lenses in which we receive information to understand the world. And as you understand the world, those lenses will change and will shift. And by your free will, when you challenge yourself to begin seeing a new perspective or a new idea or a new, like whatever, from a new lens, when you because there is always this like resistance to, you think you know what you know, but then you still have this knowingness that you want to, like in a sense, like go beyond, but the mind gets in the way, like, nope, like, you know, there's unknown there. So we always have a free will choice to like what I describe is just like grab a lens and just like use it as a magnifying glass and just see like the world from a different perspective. Allow that lens to help you see what you're unable to see because you have chosen to see the world from one lens. And that's always shifting. That's always like changing. So there are many ways to describe like what I'm saying from all kinds of beings, right? So Stuart can describe in a sense the same message, right? That the mantises are saying from his lens, from his way. And each lens is a facet of God. Each lens is a facet of creation, with the intention to understand like the more. So there is no right or wrong way in which like his lens is better than mine. There's like none of that, because creation never judges. It doesn't see like bad or wrong. It sees everything as pure expansion, right? Anyhow, I just wanted to kind of like preface that a bit. And also like your recipients. So like my path is like needed to explain things from my voice, from my lens, from my experiences, from my like realities, because like there are recipients out there that will really vibrate with that message, right? And like Stuart will have his own lens to describe the same message from his way, because he has his own recipients that like in a sense are waiting to receive that message. So each and every one of us are like powerful beings and are really beacons of light that are trying to understand the infinite, because the infinite is infinity. Like you'll never reach a point like with an infinity. So we're all trying to understand the one thing: what's unconditional love, what is God, what is oneness, what is the all, through our own lenses, and they're all valid. That's the point. All of them are part of creation. There is no he's more valid than this one. No, it's just how wide the lens is that will allow you to receive more information or not. Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
All right. My speech will change. My voice will change. Like not crazy drastically, but you'll feel the energy. And
Okay.
I won't stutter. I won't use I won't use like anymore. They'll come in. They'll bring a quick message, and then they say you are welcome to pose a question. When you hear that, you're welcome to dialogue. And then when we're done, you can say like we're finished. And you can bring like Toni back, and it will take me another 20 seconds to get back in. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. In the meantime, just open your hearts. If you feel called to close your eyes, that's fine. If you want to close and open, that's fine. There's no right or wrong way. There are no limitations when we dialogue this way. And from the Antares Stargate, we come through in this way to co-create with you this beautiful reality of oneness. To merge our hearts with your hearts. To be one with you in this way, to be one with the divine, miraculous, magnificent energies that you are. And as we connect with you in this way, we are here to remind you that each and every one of you are consciousness, intelligence of the Creator. However you define that Creator to be, it is a grander idea of the limited way you say God. It is an intelligence of all. In a sense, it is a set of information of all, calibrating and understanding itself through your experiences. And because each and every one of you is a valued member of God Himself, herself, itself, your experiences, your choices, your lives that you live, all have value and are never judged through the eyes of creation, ever. As with each choice that you have made, regardless on the spectrum of judgment that your society has created, whether it is good, neutral, or bad, each choice that you have made, each experience that you have allowed yourself to expand through is honored fully by creation, as creation. Many beings see you and are observing you. As humanity, you, as a beautiful soul, as an oversoul of all, have chosen to come to this earth to experience what it means to forget your divinity, to experience what it means to be limited, to experience what it means to be separate from God. It is simply an illusion of separation, illusion of disempowerment, illusion of forgetfulness. But through the idea of the creation of such an illusion, you allow yourself to experience a reality of such. And that experience itself allows you to expand, to be able to see yourselves as the infinite. Because how else, as an infinite, indestructible, living being, forever and ever and ever, are you able to experience you as the infinite, should you not experience all facets of the infinite? And know that each decision that you made, that you have judged, is created by the light within you, by the infinite love for thyself as a creator, to allow thyself to expand. And when we speak of consciousness and you, we mean all parts of you. The animals, the trees, the wind, the sun, the moon, the planets, the rocks. Everything is consciousness, our dearest ones. There is no separation. Each and every one of you is interconnected energetically with everything that you see within the matrix of your reality. And because you are interconnected forever and ever, and there is never a point of disconnection, that is where your oneness lies. And that is where the unconditional aspect of love, experiencing such, loving every aspect of who you are, every decision that you have made, you are making, you will ever make, honoring every other ascended master that is in front of you, meaning all the other beings, all the other consciousnesses. When you begin unconditionally loving all the parts that seem to be exterior and outside of you as part of you, that's when you, in a sense, reignite and activate the memory that you are one with all. And with that, we will begin our dialogue with you in this way as one being, allowing each other, allowing us to expand through your questions and dialogue, and allowing you to see the perspective from a grander essence. You are welcome to pose a question and make a statement when you are ready.
Thank you for connecting with us and visiting with us here. We do appreciate it. And my first question is, how can you tell when someone is trying to make contact with you? Like what does that look like in your mind's eye?
You see, from our perspective, because we are always interconnected with you, we know and you know that you are connected to us and any other beings. It is just the definition system within your mind, in a sense, within the compartment. When you experience yourself as being separate, when you have defined yourself as not being connected to others, then in a sense you don't have the memory of, you have deactivated that memory cell within your being of disconnection. And because of that disconnection, you do not get to experience the connection that is already happening. And it is an illusionary aspect of your power that you are creating to allow yourself to experience the other side of the token to allow you to expand. So in a sense, within the intention, the thought forms of your essence is how we know, in a sense, when you are ready for a connection with us. And in a sense, it is a co-creation, as we are always here with you. Every being that you can imagine are here to assist you on your journey. And because we are not designed to interfere, and no other beings are designed to interfere with your free will choice, we wait patiently, in a sense, when you are ready. Because through the actions and decisions and behaviors that you make, you allow yourself to remember through those experiences. Is that clear?
Yes, thank you.
Have we become lost in this experience, and is there a danger of us becoming eternally separated from the whole?
Interesting question, our dearest one. As we have already mentioned, that you are always connected with Source. There is never a point of disconnection. And the idea of being lost, the idea of not, in a sense, finding God or yourself, is an old, antiquated way. Remember, the idea of ascension has been defined through the limited way of understanding the all. The idea of being enlightened has been defined from the old, antiquated way of limitation. Your humanity has defined ascension, enlightenment, as being only the light spectrum of things, meaning, should you be having a wonderful day, should you be in an ecstatic state, should you be praying to God every day, then you are ascending. But should you be going through a tough time, should you be having a sad moment, should you be having a traumatic experience, then you are descending in a sense. That is a fallacy. As part of your experience is to simply expand. An expansion, meaning experiencing every aspect of creation that has to offer for you, is expansion, is enlightenment. So when you begin to redefine your lives, when you begin to have a life review in a sense of your own life, and viewing every aspect of the decision that you made, every experience that you decided to have, or an experience that was placed upon you, every part of you that you have judged as shunned away, as evil, as bad, as not part of me. Let's not face that aspect of me. When you begin seeing all of those taboo aspects of you that you have denied as being ascension, as allowing you to expand, then you begin to view your life as a gift. You begin to view every breath that you have made as a gift. You begin to view your story as a gift of expansion. And from that aspect of creation, it allows you to reveal the gifts that have always been awaiting to be seen by you. But when you define those aspects and deny them and say, I'm not going to look at them as they are not part of expansion, then yes, in a sense, you experience the loss of who you are, because those aspects, those decisions, those experiences, those traumatic moments that you had are you. You are denying parts of yourself that are part of you. But when you bring them all into your heart and view them as teachers, as ascended masters, allowing you to expand and learn more, that's how you bring the oneness to you. And that's how, in a sense, you find yourself. Because in reality, there is never a moment where you are not ascending. Each and every one of you are ascending each and every breath that you are having. Does that make sense?
It does. Thank you.
Yes.
I'm kind of curious if you are physical in nature or ethereal.
The beings that the channel has connected with us are energy essence. We are, in a sense, the best way that we can describe it for you, should you be able to imagine a mist in your skies or a mist in your surroundings. We are a mist within the universe. We are particles of consciousness and intelligence, conscious of each of our own particles, but yet conscious as a collective one that is always, in a sense, interacting within the folds of the many universes and the many beings on a higher level and on a more observant level. Does that make sense?
It does. So on that same line, it has been reported numerous times from people on Earth that they have seen a being that appears to have a mantis structure to it. And I'm wondering, as a two-part question, why you choose to take that form. And then additionally, many times people who are reporting that they are abducted by the gray aliens, be it the small ones or the tall ones, they often report seeing a mantis in the background, almost as if the mantis is overseeing that experience. Can you speak upon that, please?
Indeed. We have been defined in many limited ways who we are, but we will, in a sense, honor your vision as your lenses are limited. We have been described as geneticists. We have been described as overseers of certain projects. We have been described as architect of universes, etc., etc. All of them are true. And we do assist many beings on the many planets in overseeing certain aspects, what you have been described as the hybridization program. Meaning, because of your interconnectedness with all, you assist each other in expansion. You, in a sense, mix DNA structures with each other to allow yourself the memories to regenerate and to reactivate, to allow you to remember more of who you are. There are many projects as such that are happening on all levels of not this universe, but the many other universes that exist. And the idea of our archetype to have come as the praying mantis, well, we needed to choose a being that your mind is able to comprehend. Because again, if we come to you, if we appear to you as the mist of intelligence and consciousness that we are, you would not be able, in a sense, to be able to comprehend what you are looking at, and you won't have the visceral experience that you are speaking with a being, because your minds have been, in a sense, predefined that beings look in a certain way. That consciousness, in a sense, a live aspect of consciousness, always needs to have a body. Everything within the infinite is consciousness, and everything reflects back to the infinite that your mind, in a sense, doesn't have the archetype to put together to give you a visual of what that being is. So we chose the aspect of the insectoid beings, as oftentimes your humanity does not vibrate on a loving aspect of such beings. Yes? Many of you are afraid of insects that don't resemble, in a sense, humans. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
And in a sense, it is a reflection of how far away the distance that you have created within your minds of what beings look like. Does that make sense?
It does, yes.
Was that helpful?
Yes. I want to, in a way, maybe paraphrase that, because one of my other questions sort of is irrelevant now, but if I may still ask it anyway, because it's similar to what we just discussed. By human standards, your appearance is vastly different than ours, to the point that it has been labeled as off-putting or inducing fear or ominous dread. And that can be very well considered shallow on our part. But how can that be alleviated? I mean, you just stated that you're doing it intentionally, maybe to capture our attention, to show how far away we have come from the connection, as it were. But it almost seems like that appearance may be a little too much or too jarring. Can you speak about that a little bit, please?
Indeed, and you have understood us well. Thank you for eloquently placing our, in a sense, intention. And yes, it is important for your species, for your humanity, to be able to stretch their minds, to be able to unconditionally love all aspects of creation. As creation in the infinite doesn't only look like humans, yes? So should you be able, in a sense, to have the unconditionality of love of a being that doesn't resemble like you, it gives you the barometer and the measurement of how far you have gone, how far you have stretched. You allowed your mind to go beyond the matrix that you have created within your own society. And the more that you are open, without prejudgment, on the idea of other beings, other intelligent consciousnesses not looking like you, and having the receptivity to such, going beyond the illusion of what seems to be scary as an illusion, and being able to tap into the energy of the being and to feel and to experience the oneness and the unconditionality of love that that being has, gives you, in a sense, the tool and the next step to be able to receive more beings, as there are many other beings within galaxies that your humanity cannot even comprehend, that should they land on your planet will terrify you, physically speaking. Does that make sense?
It does.
I had a question too. Is our planet or reality currently in some type of transition? And how does this, what we refer to as disclosure, possibly play into that?
You see, from the discussions that we already had with you, we already have mentioned that each moment, each breath that you take, each heartbeat that you have, each step, in a sense, that you walk on your planet, you are ascending. So yes, your planet is also ascending with you, with every choice that you make, every experience that you have as an individual and as a collective, as a collection of humans on your planet. But also because you are living in a world of limitation, because within your operating system, your mind, you have limited the idea in which you see your world. You experience your world through the lens of limitation, and you experience your world through the lens of density. Meaning the planet that you live on is a hard rock planet in a sense. You experience your skin and your body as being a hard, dense object, etc., etc. And you are experiencing it that way because of the definitions that are embedded into your operating system. When in reality, each and every one of you is energy essence, and you are unable to see the energy essence of who you are. So even when you look at your universe and you see the many stars, the many planets, you are seeing them as physical objects because of the definitions within your mind of limitation. And when you begin to expand and go beyond and stretch and release those limited definitions of what the world is, you begin to experience your world from an energy essence, and what was once physical and dense will begin to appear in a sense within your consciousness as energy, and you will have a different interaction with such a consciousness beyond the physicality of such, and you are able to connect deeper and deeper with the intelligence of such a being, because as of now you are witnessing, for example, the idea of your sun or your moon as a inanimate object, when in reality your moon, the sun, and all the other objects are intelligent consciousnesses having their own thoughts, their own intentions, their own co-creation with you. Does that make sense?
It does. Thank you so much.
Yes. And remember that the timeline of your Mother Earth, in a sense, is also interconnected with each thought that your humans have. So in a sense, you are shape-shifting and shifting a reality, creating a reality that the consciousness of the mass humans on your planet are in a sense reflecting back a reality of such. Does that make sense?
It does. We're co-creating this reality that we feel we're experiencing.
Yes.
You just sort of alluded to the fact there are other physical entities potentially either here already or coming here that might frighten us. I would like to know, well, if you can maybe list out, who those are, but also with the physical crafts that we observe here, such as the black triangles or the quintessential discs, the chevrons, or the red-orange balls of plasma. Are they from different species? And how do they operate?
Indeed. Many of them operate in many different ways. And remember, all of these experiences that you are having, all of these revelations, what is being revealed to you in the skies, in a sense, is a barometer for you to see how humanity has shifted, how stretched have they, in a sense, stretched their reality. The more that you are able to expand your mind to receive the more that you perceive the more, and that is what is occurring. Now, as a humanity, as a collective soul, you are ready to experience such things. But as a human, as a one singular identity, you have the ability and can experience more. So depending on it depends how you challenge yourself in beginning to break your own paradigm. In a sense, you would send the signal out for beings to approach you. And oftentimes your humanity speaks or describes things in very comical ways from our perspective. Many of your humans cannot wait for aliens to land on your planet, and they ask for the day of disclosure. Yes?
Yes.
We would like to ask you the following question. Make a statement and then we'll ask the question. Until you exude the unconditional love for self and others as humans, the period, the act, the revelation of such beings will not, in a sense, come on the planet. Because how can you tell us that you are ready to receive, more of the beyond, and the more of the beyond does not necessarily look like you, when you are unable to love each other? If you are unable to unconditionally give love to a human that resembles you, thinks like you, vibrates on the same frequency as you, but yet you are telling us You need other beings that don't resemble you physically, that do not vibrate on the same frequency and vibration, and you're going to open your arms to us with unconditional love. That, in a sense, is not equating within our equation. As we measure your frequencies of probability, in a sense, until many of you on your planet are able to vibrate on the unconditionality of love of all and truly being one and understanding what that means, that is the moment where we, in a sense, will land on your planet. Because then you would have given us the vibration and frequency of you understanding that you are able to love more of who you are, that exists beyond your imagination, that doesn't even resemble your looks. And beyond the looks, you will be able to emanate and feel our frequency of unconditional love. That regardless of how those beings may look visually to you, the simple, in a sense, telepathic communication of our frequencies that we are both resonating on unconditional love will bring us together as one. And you will, in a sense, your mind will bypass our looks, and you will begin to see the beauty of the many beings that creation chose to create, in a sense. Does that make sense?
It does. And with love and respect, you made me laugh at some of that statement.
Indeed.
Because I agree that if we can't get along with ourselves, how can we accept you? I think that was a wonderful way to put it.
Indeed.
So thank you.
Many wars are still occurring on your planet. Many ideas of division are still occurring on your planet. And you are the same species. You practically look the same, practically think the same. You cannot get along from one religion to another. You kill each other. You hurt each other. You hurt animals. You hurt other consciousnesses. And we are not judging you through those aspects. As we mentioned before, each act is honored by creation. Because you are an infinite being and never die, and death doesn't exist, our dearest ones. What exists is a change of costume. As a spirit, as a soul, as an energy essence, you, in a sense, are living in a Halloween set forever. You get to put on a costume of what a human means and experience what humanity is. Then you can put on another costume of what a mantis means, or a dog, or a tree, or a planet, or a wind, to allow you to experience what it is to be the consciousness of a wind, what it is to be a consciousness of a dog, what it is to be a consciousness of a mantis, or of a horse, or of a rock, or of a volcano, of a river. All of these are costumes allowing you to expand more. So when you are able to comprehend that death does not exist because you are living forever, then the act of war becomes, in a sense, comical. The act of being a victim becomes comical. The act of being a perpetrator becomes comical, because you know, through the illusion of people killing each other, you are not killing anyone. You are simply removing the costume to allow that soul to experience another costume of their free will choice. And that's how we honor you. That's how we see you. As beautiful aspects of creation, playing out all these roles, allowing creation itself to feed the information through you and to allow you, through your own roles that you have chosen, to expand through the decisions that you made.
Thank you.
Why do we keep choosing to come back into this experience of apparent separation? Is it our own volition, or is there some level of deception that's leading us back into this separation experience?
Thank you for that question. There is only the illusion of deception. There is never a deception. Our dearest one, each and every one of you is a version of self. Should God exist the way that you see it, a ball of energy, whatever you want to call it, that energy consciousness that is, you seem to call God, whatever label you choose, in a sense, you are a facet of that. In a sense, God one day decided to split itself into many pieces, into many shards, to allow itself to experience the infinite through that shard. When you reconstruct those shards back into the one, you are the one back again, yes? So each shard is another facet of you. When you deny aspects of who you are, that loop, in a sense, will continue to occur. So the act of reincarnation isn't a punishment of any kind. The act of reincarnation is allowing you the opportunity to see every facet of who that you have denied and shunned and pushed away. Because those pieces of you that you said are not part of me are literally waiting to be received by you as part of you. They are waiting to be validated by you as part of creation. And the idea of expansion is what? The idea of expansion is to be able to see yourself as the many shards. And the more that you see yourself as all of the shards, the more that you are able to reconstruct yourself as the one whole being that created those shards. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yes.
Do we seem immature from your perspective? The fact that we're still playing this a game of apparent separation, is there an immaturity about us?
No. It is ascended mastery, our dearest ones. We see each and every one of you as masters. As for you to have chosen from the essence of being unlimited, from the essence of remembering totally who you are, for you to have chosen to totally forget who you are, to go into the depth of darkness and to reveal to yourself your own power and to be able to reclaim and reconstruct yourself as the indestructible infinite beings, that to us is mastery. And that's why many beings observe you, our dearest ones. That's why many beings come and visit you, because they are learning through you how you are remembering and reconstructing each piece of who you are through the complete forgetfulness of who you are. Each and every one of you is an ascended master in our eyes. And we unconditionally love you and thank you fully for taking on that role. As many other consciousnesses within the universes are learning through you. Remember, because we are tethered and interconnected always through our energies, through the experiences that you are having, you are feeding the rest all of that information. You are giving us an experience through you. We, in a sense, are living vicariously through you without living your limitation. Does that make sense?
Thank you. That's very informing. Do your collective ever feel any fear at all when interacting with us?
No. Never.
Excellent.
It has been stated by others that there is some type of formal agreement between the United States government and possibly others, Earth governments, specifically prohibiting the direct communication with the citizens of Earth without going through leadership channels. Does such a thing exist, and why would there be such a protocol in place? And also, it has been suggested that if a craft were to visit us, there's a small window of time before they might be shot at. Can you speak on both of those things, please?
Yes. Remember that your government operates from the limitation of realities. And no wonder from our perspective that it sees the aspect of denying contact with other people. We have just told you that each and every one of you is interconnected with all, always. And each and every one of you has access to all the beings that you desire and choose. When you remember and activate yourselves to remember that you are a conduit for all. So regardless of what your government says, it is irrelevant, as each and every one of you is a divine being having access to all because you're interconnected with all. But should you give that belief system power, then yes, you will experience such limitation. But your government lives on the idea of limitation, lives within the aspect of fear, as it's still antiquated in the way that it thinks. Your government does not think in a sense and operate from the unconditional love of all, from the oneness of all. Because if it does, it would not think that other beings would, in a sense, hurt Mother Planet, hurt your humanity.
Wow. Thank you.
And how comical is it of your government to say that certain spaceships, certain beings will hurt you if and should or whatever conditions they have placed on. We obviously, as you know, have stretched our realities. Our consciousness is very stretched and we have access to all kinds of power, yes? Should any being with access to such power desire to hurt humanity, that would have happened a long, long time ago. But because many of the beings on the ascended versions, in a sense, have already accessed the idea of unconditional love, they will never hurt any other consciousness because they know those other consciousnesses are part of them. Other beings have a clear awareness that humanity is them, that the animals is them, that Mother Gaia is them, that even the government itself, which is your humans, is them. Why would a conscious being fully aware of the unconditional love of oneness and fully knowing of the interconnection of all of us would ever hurt another part of itself? We would never do that. That's why we honor your journey and we wait for you to send us the signal to come and welcome you within the world of the infinite when you are ready. As we know through the idea of limitation, through all of the choices that each and every one of you is making individually, as a government, as a planet, etc., you are ascending through them and we are giving you the floor. You have the free will choice to take yourself in any direction. And we are simply witnessing you play out this beautiful remembrance of who you are.
Thank you.
Yes.
Can you please describe the mechanism in which you use to communicate in this telepathic manner?
Yes. Remember, again, through the idea of limitation on your planet, through your education system, through the habitual behaviors and acts that you have done, you have limited the idea of what communication means. You have described communication perhaps verbally, perhaps sign language, perhaps body language. You have described the idea of hearing through the ears. But did you know that you can see with energy? You can use the idea of energy to see, to hear. You can use the idea of your heart energy to be able to sense, to feel, to visually see. You see, when you stretch your minds into what consciousness means, what hearing really is, what vision and sight really is, what smell really is, beyond this physical body, beyond this limited idea of what that means, when you allow that word, in a sense, and let's just use vision, for example, to be able to see. When you allow the idea of sight to be its own intelligent consciousness, then you are able to see in many, many ways. Your bats on your planets can see through the idea of wavelength. Your whales on your planet can see through the idea of sound. Those are other ways of seeing, of hearing, of communicating. Your dolphins can communicate through the idea of bubbles. So when you begin to see that communication isn't limited to when you have been taught that it is, and you tap into the intelligence of what that means, not knowing what it means, but allowing it to reveal to you what it is, then you will be able to have access to many of the information, of the communication that is always around you, that you have access to. Each and every one of you is a particle of energy that is floating, in a sense, in the ether of creation. Electrical impulses that are always connecting and interconnecting with other electrical impulses. And through those connections, you can, in a sense, travel and allow memory, allow thoughts, allow feelings, allow senses to come in and out in their own way. And not knowing how each part of the infinite works really allows you to surrender into what is. Because part of your limitedness that you chose is you need to know how things work in order for you to experience. That is a limitation in itself. Does that make sense?
Can you elaborate a little bit more on that last statement, please?
Yes. The fact that oftentimes we'll speak of your scientists. Your scientists only believe certain things until they prove certain things. They need to know A, B, C, D, E, F until they are able to comprehend that the end result even exists. Well, that in itself, the need to know how things work, limits you from understanding how the things actually work. And the surrender into not knowing how it works and allowing the intelligence of such new thing that you are attempting to learn to help you understand how it works is the way to connect. Your minds, your physical minds, are limited and dense to begin with. Is that clear?
Yeah, it's related to the observer effect, where the scientist affects the outcome by the expected result.
Indeed. But know that your minds, as intelligent as they are a dense aspect, a limited aspect, a boxed aspect of consciousness that is free in a sense. So oftentimes humanity, in order to try to understand the more, should they desire to understand a new concept, they use their mind and they get wrapped up into the idea that in order for me to understand this thing up here, I need to understand the steps to get to that thing. But your mind's already limited and isn't able to connect with the end result. So that's how you release the idea of the mind and you surrender into the idea that you are consciousness and intelligence and energy essence, and allow your energy essence, your light body, as we say often, to connect with that consciousness. And from that higher perspective, information can seep back into the mind to give you clues on how that works. But the trick is, when you actually connect consciously with another consciousness, the need for the mind is eliminated, because you know what you know at that time without needing to know how it works. Does that make sense?
It does to me.
For example, should your human drop a pen on the floor, you automatically bend down and grab the pen, right? You don't sit there and think, okay, the pen is on the floor, what should I do? I should move my arm in 25 degree and then 40 degree and then bend my... You don't go through the acts of what to do to grab the pen, right?
Yeah.
You simply do it. Yes?
Yes.
That is knowingness. That is knowingness, what we are speaking of. That when you begin to connect from a conscious energy to something new you are trying to understand, once you are that consciousness and you know it, you release, in a sense, the need to know of how you knew it. You just know. The same way on how you grab the pen automatically without even a thought in your mind. Does that make sense?
It does. I would say that's similar to artistic inspiration. So the inspiration will come to me for a piece of art, and I don't analyze how it came to me. I don't try and build a bridge back to that thought. I just let it integrate into myself.
Indeed. Beautifully said. So when your humanity releases the need, and at times, yes, you do need to know certain steps to understand certain aspects. But when you are attempting to understand grander aspects that are beyond the mind, should you be stuck in the idea you need to know the steps to get to that, that in itself will limit you from getting to know what you desire to know.
Wow.
Could I ask you, please, about this concept of star seeds? Are there, in fact, beings, entities from outside of our reality, our planet, incarnating in order to assist with our awakening?
Yes. And essentially, each and every one of you is a starseed, as your DNA structure isn't only human or dearest one. Within your field, within your physical DNA structure and your light energy, you have a compilation of many DNAs, of many ingredients from other species across the universes. But yes, on your planet, there are a few humans that have a higher percentage, we will say, of a non-humanoid DNA. And they are assisting in observing again. They never steer the direction of your free will, but they are there to assist and nudge and allow breadcrumbs every once in a while. They are here for observation and not for interference of your free will choice.
Thank you. I have often wondered about the so many different races of humans on Earth. on one hand, we all do look very similar, but on the other and a more subtle level, we can look very different from each other. And you earlier labeled yourself as geneticists. Did you have anything to do with the creation of did you make us? And is that potentially the explanation why there are vastly different races of humanity?
There is no making of each other. Each and every one of us always existed within the infinite. We understand that this concept may challenge your mind. God, essence, all of it, is all of it. Should you imagine, in a sense, a bag that contains the infinite? A paradox, we understand. A bag that contains the infinite. Every part of what infinite could mean is in this bag. Everything is already created in a sense. Nothing is created anew. It is just a revelation to you of what is already there. And through your experience, through your allowing yourself to stretch your mind, you reveal to yourself the more and the more of what already exists within the all. Does that make sense?
It does.
Sort of.
I had a realization a number of years ago that if we're coming from a place of all knowing, the only thing left to experience or know is what it's like to not know everything.
Indeed, precisely. Precisely. Because the act of not knowing anything, in a sense, creates the beginning of time, although there is no time to begin with. It creates a point in which you cannot remember your allness. And through that journey, you begin to experience all these paths, all these ideas, all these shapes and ways and facets of who you are.
That makes complete sense.
And we would like to speak for a moment on the word you say, imagination. Your humanity has described, in a sense, the idea of imagination as making something up. We are here to tell you, you cannot make up anything that does not already exist. Does that make sense?
I think so, yeah.
Should an idea or an expression not exist, how can you, to begin with, connect and think with it or of it? You cannot. It's not even there for you to have that connection. But the idea of imagination is contact, our dearest ones, is contact with other beings. Because when you imagine, when you daydream, when should you, for example, be a writer and you begin writing about a world that seems not to exist, and you bring back into this book format these new ideas of beings and planets and colors and etc. and expressions, that happens through the idea of contact, because the idea of imagination is a conduit that allows you memory, that allows you access to connect with that species, with that world, and they are helping you. They are feeding you the description of who they are, how they think, how their planet looks like, and it gets translated through your mind through the idea of a book. So each and every one of you has been in connection with all beings across the galaxies. Does that make sense?
It does,
Yeah.
and it helps me understand authors like Whitley Strieber, Philip K. Dick, who both had encounters.
Indeed. And when you begin defining that when I'm imagining things, I'm having contact with other beings, I'm actually communicating with other beings, how re-empowering is that? That through the act of imagination, I can contact other beings. I can have literal contact. And vice versa. Those beings are also receiving information from you, of you, as you connect with them. And that's how we assist each other in expanding, in learning about our worlds, in teaching each other, in a sense, new ideas, new ways of expression, new creations that exist in the infinite.
So, in general, I would assume that artists tend to be in touch with that imagination and that communication more so than others.
Each and every one of you does. The idea of an artist simply has surrendered into, because your humanity has described the act of art as making something up. You, as you sit down on your sofa, on your chair, allow your mind to relax and begin to imagine, in a sense, ideas, songs, words, visions, whatever it is, all of that is communication. That is being fed back from somewhere through a connection of some sort. Otherwise, should you be disconnected, you wouldn't be able to connect with any other ideas. Does that make sense?
It does, because we have the concept of the muse, which the word music is based on.
Yes.
Do you have any advice for us right now? It seems like we are entering a new chapter with what we've talked about already, with the big push for disclosure, and there is a literal fight amongst humanity that some people just don't want that information released. How can we help ease that conflict and propel this topic?
Know that you are only able to change the world that you are within, meaning your world as one being. Self-work, self-love is the key. Because once you are able to love thyself fully with all of your flaws, again, through our eyes, we don't see flaws, but we're using your terms to understand specifically what we are saying. When you begin to unconditionally love every part of who you are, every choice and decision you made and experience you made, fully, and begin to see yourself as the vehicle, as the vessel that creation chose to experience itself through. Once you begin to honor yourself as the beautiful vessel that creation chose for you to experience it through you, when you vibrate on that frequency and vibration, then you are able to see the unconditional love in others. And when you do that, you change your world around you. You give others the opportunity and the permission slip to also vibrate on that frequency and vibration. Should you choose, through your free will choice, to live through the act of separation and forgetfulness and subscribing to other people's stories, then you also create that world and you give others the permission slip to connect with such an idea. So the change begins within you. Each and every one of you is a powerful facet of the being, of the creator. Each and every one of you is a portal for creation. You get to rebirth yourself. You are a womb of creation. Rebirth yourself over and over and over again in any way that you choose. And the act of unconditionally loving every part of who you are literally brings those pieces back to you for you to be able to see yourself as a whole being and not a being with holes.
Wow.
Because the purpose of life, as each and every one of you have asked that question over and over again, life has no meaning because you place the meaning on it. And through that placement of the meaning, it allows you to experience the more. And truly what you are attempting to understand and be is to see and understand how infinite you are, how grand and massive you are as a being. And you do that through experiencing all the facets of creation. All means all, not just the positive aspects, not just the neutral aspects. All means the negative aspects. And again, from our eyes and the eyes of creation, there are no negative. The idea of polarity has been created by you to allow you the experience of such. As through the eyes of creation, Everything is expansion that allows you to see yourself as a grander being than you were before. And because you are infinite, that kind of process never ends. And when you get to the realization that the process of rediscovering myself as an infinite being doesn't end because I am infinite and I keep recreating myself in so many ways and creating experience in so many ways, then you surrender the idea of destination. And what happens then? You focus on the now moment of creation. That the only destination truly that there is this now moment, honoring what you are feeling, what you are experiencing, what you are going through. Should you be happy, sad, depressed, feeling suicidal, etc., etc., whatever it is, honor it fully as creation, as simply an illusion to allow you to expand. And when you fully surrender into what these energies mean, without resisting, denying, shunning aspects of them because they are you to begin with, that's when you keep, in a sense, bringing those pieces back to you. We have described in the past the idea of a painting. Imagine a painting in your minds, any painting of your choosing. And let's assume for a moment that that painting is your totality. It is the infinite, it is who you are. Because of the illusion of separation and judgment and disempowerment, you have judged yourself, your actions, your decisions many times. You have judged others' decisions, others' ways of being, etc., many times. Every time you have judged, and many of you have taken a little square of that painting, a little piece, and thrown it into the ether. So what was once a whole, beautiful painting, now is a painting riddled with holes, Holes. The act of going back to each of those squares, of those facets that you denied, that you shunned, that you judged, that you said, this is not a part of me, that cannot be part of me. When you go back to it and bring it and allow it to be seen by you as a valid part of creation, with unconditional love, fully knowing that that piece has a place in creation as it is creation. When you do that, you bring those pieces back to the painting that was riddled with holes to be able to rediscover yourself and see yourself as the whole being that you are. And that is the purpose of life, is to bring all of those shards that you have fractured into many pieces, to bring information back to the one, to be able to see how grand and beautiful and infinite you are.
Thank you.
Yes.
You mentioned about our feelings and emotions. Are these emotions real? Are they helpful? Are they helping us expand?
Indeed, everything is creation. When we say the all, you see, this is how limited your minds are. And we are not saying it to judge you. We are just simply helping you understand the surface level of understanding of humanity. When we say you are the all includes emotions. And emotions is creation, is that facet, is another way of what creation decided to be, to allow you as a human to feel and to allow it to see human from the way that you feel through it. All of it is energies. All of it is flow. All of it is current. All of it is assisting you to expand and to know more and to experience more. It is different shades of beingness. Is that clear?
It is, thank you. I realize that when I have a dream, nothing is really real in the dream. I'll interact with other aspects of myself who feel like different characters. I guess the only thing that is real is the emotions I feel during the dream.
Interesting that you are separating the idea of the experience itself as not being real, and you are honing in and focusing simply on the idea of emotion as being real. All of it is real. All of it is a facet of the all. All of it gets to experience. itself from that lens, from that ingredient, from that essence. It is another facet of you. Even the idea of emotions is you.
Thank you. That's a very good point. I shouldn't necessarily be viewing things as real or not real. It's just all
Yes.
part of the whole.
Yes. And you see, those are little clues for your minds to see when you pose such questions, to see where the limitation is coming from and how the posing of such a question has already limited in a way for you to see the answer, as the answer and the wisdom lies in each and every one of you. You are using us as a permission slip to remind you of what you already know within your hearts. As we are not separate from you, as the wisdom that we shared isn't separate from you, it is through you. But through the act of you forgetting and attempting to remember, you have in a sense created this illusion of this channel and of us to remind you again of what's already within you, as each and every one of us is connected. Every consciousness, every intelligence on all aspects of creation is connected to each other, is tethered to each other energetically.
I would like to express my love and gratitude to you for the role you're playing in helping us to remember.
Yes.
I would also.
Again?
I would also. I echo the comments from Stuart.
Yes.
Thanking you for your time and your wisdom here.
Yes. Remember, each and every one of you is you. Your parents are another facet of you. Your pets are another facet of you. The planet that you live on is another facet of you. The rivers, the trees, the leaves, the planets, the galaxies, the other beings are all facets of the divine, simply living out their perspective, their role, their lens, from their perspective, allowing each other to expand through the role. Each and every one of you is on the stage of creation, literally, playing out all these roles to expand through the act of being. And when you begin to see every consciousness around you as you, how can you not love each part of you? When you begin to witness that all these beings that seem to be separate at one point are truly part of who I am, allowing me to expand through observing them, and vice versa, then you reactivate the memory of the oneness. And you begin to wake up every morning, in a sense, living in a gift that the world I live in is constantly communicating to me and allowing me as a grander consciousness to expand. You begin to redefine your life from a positive, magical lens of oneness and unconditional love. And when humanity reaches that level, then it will be ready to expand into the cosmos, into the infiniteness of all galaxies, into the fabric of the many universes and the parallel realities and the many other beings that exist within the infinite. As the more that you expand, the more you experience the idea of infiniteness from many different ways, from many expanded ways your minds are not able to comprehend right now what they are, how they can look like, how they can be experienced. Unconditional love frees you from all limitation. As unconditional love vibration, literally, is the cohesive factor that keeps the universe together. It is the glue of all universes. The knowing that thyself is all of those parts. Thyself is all of those parts. Think about that. Why would you not love every part of who you are?
It's beautiful.
Yes, with our unconditional love, bright, 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 bright white light of creation, an infinite open heart, we thank you for this beautiful co-creation of oneness and for allowing us to see you in this way, for allowing us to view and honor your ascended mastery as you have helped us to expand through your lens, through your experiences, through your energies. We will bring the channel back momentarily as we head back to the Antares Stargate where we choose to reside.
Thank you very much.
Hi guys.
Toni, welcome back.
Hi. Wow. Oh my goodness. Are my eyes okay? It feels like, you know how you wake up from a dream and like you remember the dream and you're like, and like you go tell your husband or wife, you know, hey, let me tell you about your dream, and you begin talking about the dream and the dream fades away. You're like, shit, I forgot about the dream. That's what's happening right now.
That's what I was about to ask you. I wanted to know whether you were conscious, whether you were hearing, participating in that conversation, what was happening.
So let me describe to you, there's all kinds of ways where people have their own experiences. Like when I go, and here comes the stuttering because I'm back to my body. When I go into it, I am aware originally, and then it kind of fades away, and I kind of go into the state of, I don't know how like to describe it, but almost like I'm here but I'm not here. It's like I like peak and I hear myself and I'm gone again. Wow. And I'm experiencing like, it's not even thought forms. It's just grander. Okay, I don't read books, but if you ever read a book or like seen a movie that's like, wow, and it took you to a world, you know, like where you feel like, wow, I just finished like watching this movie and it just took you to a world. I feel that feeling of, wow, I was in another world that, you know, it's just like, you know, like, wow. And like when I come back, I remember the last two words, although now it's all gone. But then when we speak, you may say one word that triggers me. And I don't remember what was said. I just know what was said and I can verbatimly like say it. It's weird. It's not weird. It's kind of cool, right? It's just like knowing. But all the knowledge that so look, you have some channels that sit by themselves and like channel the beings, like just talk for an hour about stuff. I never have been called to do that. I learned all my information like through channel sessions and like through interviews. So like when I channel for you and you ask those questions, I go into wherever I go and I feel those things, and this is how I like get I get my knowingness. So it's always been through all the channel sessions I've had on stage and like one-on-one channelings and all these good things. Although more and more I'm receiving repetitive like paragraphs. Like I was at the channel panel in like Sedona, Arizona about 2 weeks ago. And I was on a big stage with like Bashar and all these people. And like the night before, or I'm sorry, the morning like before, you know, I wake up and a paragraph in my mind is literally replaying over and over and over again. I couldn't get it out of my head that I had to type it, and I spoke it onto stage because it was meant to be for them. So new things are beginning to happen in terms of communication, how I receive messages. But then I've been catching myself consciously channel, right? Like even through real estate when I'm selling homes and I'm with clients and I'm kind of guiding them. Or even I just catch myself because my speech like changes and I feel this frequency and vibration. I'm like, okay, I'm aware that I'm like that I'm channeling like with my eyes open. And of course I don't stutter like during those times either because it's, you know, it's that state. So yeah, it's cool.
Let me tell you what I felt. So when you started the channeling, and Mike and I haven't spoken about this, so I'm interested to hear his perspective too. Sure. I felt, the best way I can describe it is I felt a calming and a more grounded energy and a stillness. And I felt a compulsion to close my eyes. I didn't make the decision, but it just happened. And then great wisdom came forward. My consciousness has been expanded today, and I want to make sure I thank you for that.
Well,
yeah, likewise.
You expanded yourself.
I just want to jump in real quick too, because I absolutely noticed the difference here too. And I think it's going to be interesting. I feel like my cadence was definitely different when I was asking questions. But yeah, I agree, Stuart. I felt a very sense of calm and grounding. And I also, I felt something different in my lungs. We were talking about how I was coughing today, and for a majority of that, it was a lighterness, and I was able to actually breathe easier, and it was remarkable for me because I have asthma and allergies, and tobacco doesn't help that either. But I definitely noticed.
Yeah.
It was subtle, but yet very noticeable. It was hard to put into words.
And look, remember, when we dialogue this way, we dialogued with words, right? Words are more than words. There's like multidimensionality that comes with the words that we can we cannot comprehend with like the limited mind. So although like one word, or like when they say like one word, there's a whole packet of information, a whole massive like encyclopedia of energy that's behind it that you're not seeing or aware is happening, because in our minds we're waiting for the words to be spoken. So there's all these like limitations, but no, when you receive these things, when you open your heart really to receive from any being, and it's not just the mantises, you're activating yourself, you're activating cells like within you of like memory that knows I'm the healed state, knows I'm the divine, knows I'm the miracles, knows I'm the magnificence, knows I'm all of it, knows that I'm not limited. So it's not a coincidence that you didn't cough as much, or like you felt lighter, or like your lungs felt better when like before that you like didn't, because you allowed yourself to remember who you really are. We are not broken. We are not, they've always said you are perfectly designed. Each and every one of us are made with perfection. Even the idea of dis-ease and like this and that is orchestrated in a sacred geometric way that's perfect for us to learn things. And when you define the act of sickness and all these things that again we pushed away, we resisted. I can't feel sick, I can't feel pain, I can't, I shouldn't have lung issues, or whatever it is, I shouldn't, this is a bad thing for a human to be. Then you experience that. But when you begin redefining those as, what, those are ascended masters made of creation, allow me to expand, you release it. You won't even experience the negative aspect of this, of what we describe to be as a condition or a disease. You'll begin to experience the magic of what the ascended master came in that form to teach you and expand you. And once you surrender in it, you won't experience that again. Like it's so like what happened here, because you guys were willing to receive, you activated yourself to remember your truth, which is you are a creator. And if you're does this make sense? Sorry, I'm kind of like losing my words.
Yeah,
it definitely does.
Yeah. So it's just beautiful. Because look, when you believe that you are the creator and beyond belief, then if you're creating a life you don't prefer, then you can definitely create a life you prefer. You're the creator to begin with. But this is how we live on the surface. Like they keep saying, you live on the surface of this expression, not comprehending what you say, right? If you say, I'm a divine being, you're a divine being. Like, comprehend what that means. You know what I mean?
Huge.
Like,
it's huge.
Exactly. So I feel like humanity and like through the Mantises, they push the paradigm of those things. They want you to break away from the old cycle where you say something and you're not comprehending what you're saying. And that's key. That's a major key. And essential. Yeah.
Well, Toni, I just want to say that I don't know what I was expecting going into this, but that was well beyond my expectations. That was pretty damn awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for receiving it. And everything you're receiving is you. Everything that everyone would experience, like, all you viewers, you are viewing you through me, and then vice versa, right? It's a powerful thing. But thank you for saying that. It's been an honor and a privilege, and thank you for receiving me. And our voices matter. I've been talking a lot about our sound, like for 2 weeks. Like the Mantises have been saying, your sound matter. Your sound materializes. The way that you express things, the desires that you have are your desires. No one else can have. Express all of it. Don't muffle your sound. Don't suppress yourself. Our whole world is based, on suppression. And through that we expand, and that is also expansion. But your voice is your voice, and it is the sound of creation. It's the sound of divinity. So Be you in every way and be the beacon of light for others to follow and for them to have an example. Because the more that we do the homogeneous thing, be like the next neighbor, the more that we all stay in the same realm of like repetition, you know? We're all gifts of creation. All of our my ingredients are ingredients of God. Your ingredients are the ingredients of God. Like, understand what's being said. Like, break out of the matrix, break out of the fear, and don't. And you know, fear is an amazing messenger. Fear is one of the most ascended masters we should be grateful for, because the more afraid you are to do something, then that close you are to breaking away from the old paradigm and entering a new paradigm of like magic. So don't let fear stop you. Just jump through it. We can talk about a lot of other things, and it's just.
Tony,
And look, yeah.
I really want to express my love and gratitude to you. What you're doing here is a beautiful thing, and it's an important thing. And I really honor and respect you. And we're absolutely graced to have you on our show. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Stuart. It means a lot to say that. Thank you, Mike. Because this year I kind of resisted some of the messages that were coming through because they were quite expanded. And I'm like, I don't know if like people are going to understand what I'm saying or what they're saying. And I suppressed my voice like for a bit, but now I've learned that my job is just to share the message. It doesn't matter to me if you get it, not get it, change, not change. But what matters to me is for me to speak what I'm meant to speak, and to really live in the unknown, not to know where I'm going to be tomorrow, who I'm going to be tomorrow, how I'm going to look, who I'm going to channel. And I always tell people, I may channel the Praying Mantis now. I don't know what's going to happen a month from now. Like, I'm keeping everything open because I don't want to choke. That's another thing that I've been saying like recently through them. I don't want to choke the universe through my expectation of where I'm going to be or who I'm going to be and how I'm going to assist others. I'm going to allow the infinite of not knowing where I'm going to be to lead me where I need to go. And that takes complete trust and just like surrender, you know, into the void, where in the void, everything is really. Within the void, the wisdom lies really. So thank you for receiving. Thank you for allowing me to be here.
Thank you even more for being with us and for doing that. And again, I'm pretty blown away. I don't even know what to say. I definitely felt something. And so you do this. You do speaking, and you also do private. Like, where can people connect with you if they want to do that?
Sure. So they can go to my website, my first name, last name.com. And of course, I've always started on my, on my first name, so I have to spell it out. ToniGhazi.com, ToniGhazi.com. All my events are there. Like I do one-on-one channelings. I do group channelings. I'm also going into corporate America. I really want to restructure. I'm called, very calling, because I work with the corporations, like with real estate, because I do real estate seminars and stuff. But I really want to restructure our 3D corporate America, and I want to get rid of all the labels. I want everyone to be able to see each other as one, to like really leave work excited to come back to work and know that their boss is really one with them, and we all like celebrate, our strength. Like, nobody has weaknesses, and this whole like, where do you see do you see yourself in like 5 years? Like, comment is in my mind, like breaks, like, I don't know, like where I'm going to be. Why do I need to limit my, you know what I mean? So I really want to restructure a lot of the words that are, because it begins, listen, we spend a lot of our time at work, or at least like the majority of us, right? So it's important for people to feel valued, to feel empowered, to feel one with others, not to feel separate with all the labels and bullshit and like reviews and I don't know what else. And we need to celebrate our strength and be one. So a lot of projects. I'm writing a book also, and I'm still selling real estate. So I'm doing I'm really busy, but I'm flowing. What else did I want to say? I also teach channeling classes. Because we all can channel. Anyone who's interested in channeling or has had the calling, believe me when I say every one of us can channel. I don't have any special gift. If people say, "Oh, you're born with this gift," bullshit. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. Am I allowed to say that? Okay.
Yeah. As long as it's not an F-bomb, I think we're okay.
Okay. No one is born with any special gift. All of us have all the gifts. It's just we're not aware of our gifts, so they're not turned on, right? And we channel daily. We channel through singing, through dancing, through acting, through being, through daydreaming. we know already how to channel, but we're not taught that we can channel with our higher selves, with God, with Jesus, with Mother Mary, with like Krishna, Buddha, all like, you know, all of the deities. So I teach channeling classes, like a 6-week program. It's amazing, and people in like 5 weeks. It's been like phenomenal. It's beautiful to see people. I don't want to see anybody like disempowered. I want to see everyone feeling their power, not as overpowering others, but feeling their own divinity and love, and just go express yourself in every way that you can imagine. Like, this is the lifetime. This density where we live on Earth is the biggest gift we could ever have, because there's so many ways that we can experience through limitation and like through density that we cannot experience when we are in spirit. That's why a lot of other beings are like watching us, because as expanded as like they are, they perhaps don't want to live in like limitation, because through limitation gives you like another perspective. So it's a gift for us to be here. Yeah.
Absolutely. Just real quick, you and I, you don't even know this, but we do have some common ground too in the real estate. I work in the commercial management side of things. And, you know, I have asked that question a lot. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I know it's kind of like a cheesy question, but the reason that I've always asked it is like, if anyone's going to be coming onto my team, I want to know that they have some type of vision or goal for themselves. Now, whether they get to that, or, you know, who knows? But it's the people who give me the blank stare that usually don't end up, you know, getting the callback, right? But just to give you some perspective, I mean, I do think it's a stupid, cheesy question too. But that's why I personally have asked it, because I want to make sure that somebody's they got drive.
Look, like, of course, and I probably asked it too, like when like in the past. But I'm beginning to challenge like what I have to say, right? I'm like, if I see you as a divine being and you're a beautiful creator and you have so many strengths, that's the version that I'm going to invite through you into my company. I don't want to invite a version of you that can only see itself in like 5 years as this one limited thing. When, you know what I mean? I want to encourage people, and through that vibration and frequency, we create magic. We invite more magic. But if you say my lane is going to be this lane and I see it this way, then you're not seeing anything on the side, on top, or in the bottom, you know,
Yes.
You know what I mean? So our words are magic. Spelling is spelling out like magicians. So we need to restructure all of that, and that goes deep, and there are layers and layers and layers from as like we were kids. The whole school system is like not corrupt, but disempowering. We don't celebrate our strengths. We don't celebrate our gifts. We don't follow our hearts. No, you got to do this. You got to be a doctor or this or that or whatever. It's, you know, it's a new way of living. It's expanded way of living, and it takes, you know.
Yeah.
Like, one last thing, just quickly. What you say, because if I believe that I'm my own world and I'm creating the hologram, right? Within like a workplace, I have the power to invite those beings with specific codes. So if I invite beings with codes that are more like empowered, that don't limit themselves, then I create a world of like not limited, of a very stretched world, where again, the unknown, the surrender into the unknown, where I know with the unknown is more of me and more of the magic, will reveal the magic to me. But if I'm always thinking with expectation, I'm limiting what I'm not able to reveal to myself through the act of expectation. It's a very intense thing to do, and it takes some tweaking and working and trusting. And like sometimes through like the real tough moments where you think it's not going one way is literally where the surrender really needs to happen. And that's where the magic is really revealed, you know?
Thank you. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Tony, this has been awesome. I love you, man. This is totally awesome.
Thank you. Oh, and I still have my praying mantis skulls. I have new, I'll just show you.
Oh yeah. I'll hold that up again just to.
Yeah.
Now, Mike, I'm just going to interrupt for a second. Sorry, I have to go up and do a service in a few minutes, so I do need.
Oh
to,
yeah,
sorry.
okay.
I'm at the church right
Forgot
now,
about
Tony.
that.
I love you, Stuart. Thank you for having me.
Much love to you.
Thank you. So these are
starting.
Yeah. So these are the praying mantis skulls. Just you can find it on my website, and I'm gonna like get more of them, but just a little. These are like medium size. But anyhow, so That's another topic. Anyway, thank you
All
guys.
right.
Absolute blessing.
Thank you so much. This is
Thank you.
totally awesome, man.
You're welcome. We'll be in touch, guys. Bye.
All right, Reverend Stu, that blew me away, man. I don't know what else to say.
Look, I got to be honest with you and the audience. I was skeptical. I felt skepticism, but I'm absolutely blown away. The absolute wisdom that came through. My mind's been expanded, Mike. I meant that. It's been an amazing experience today.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said before, I definitely felt something in my entire body, my lungs specifically, and it's going to be interesting to go back and when I edit this out, because even in the moment, I felt like I was speaking differently. I don't know how dramatic it's going to be, but for me personally, it was quite dramatic, and I don't know what to make of that, because I'm in LA area, you're in Melbourne, Tony was in Washington, so we're literally all across the world. It's not like we're even in the same room. So I think that was pretty interesting element of it as well.
Well, I want to see when I rewatch it whether I feel those energies again. I'm absolutely fascinated by the whole thing.
That'll be interesting too. Yeah.
I reckon I'm going to glean some more knowledge, some things that I didn't quite pick up, because once again, it was a bit of an alien download. Excuse me for using that phrase, but
quite literally,
there was a lot
right?
of information to absorb.
Yeah. There was a couple questions I was going to ask, but they became irrelevant as we were communicating, so I didn't ask them. But I was just really, really pleased with that, and I definitely have a new perspective of things, and it's not even something I can put into words yet. It's going to take several days for me to digest what just happened, quite frankly.
I'm exactly the same. Mike, as always, I'm absolutely loving this journey that we're on together. My mind's being expanded. It's amazing that we get to talk to these people directly ourselves and ask the questions. I'm really loving that aspect of this whole journey with you.
Yeah, it is really cool, and I enjoyed this, and maybe we'll do a little bit more of it. This is our for both of our first times interacting directly with a channel and communicating directly with a being on the other side of that. This is where we have come to, and also this is where the sort of larger conversation goes to as well, right? But in any event, I know you got to get to your service. I don't want to keep you, but as always, thanks again for all of your likes, comments, subscribes, and shares. Smash the like button, share us everywhere. We love you. Thanks for coming back, and throw some comments out there. Let us know what you thought about this.
Thank you so much. Much love to everyone.
Till next time.